first you should know which one of them is the biggest one and which of them is the smallest one. So kilometer definitely is the biggest one and millimeter is the smallest one. So let's observe between kilometer and meter. So we already mentioned kilometer is bigger than meter. Then if you're doing conversion from kilometer to meter, so from biggest to smallest unit, you are doing multiplication with how much? With 1000. Usually this kilo, not just in this case, in any case, kilo is meaning 1000. So you will need to multiply with 1000. Then if you are going in opposite direction, for example from smallest to biggest unit, so from meter to kilometer, you will need to divide. So then you are dividing with 1000. Then, for example, if you have decimeter, so between meter and decimeter, meter is bigger than decimeter. So if you are going from meter to decimeter, so which is from biggest to smallest unit, you must multiply by 10. Then, if you are going in opposite direction, from decimeter to meter, which is meaning from smallest to biggest, you are dividing with 10. Then, if you have centimeter, so decimeter is bigger than centimeter. So if you are going from biggest to smallest unit, so from decimeter to centimeter, then you are doing multiplication by 10. If you are going in opposite direction, so from centimeter to decimeter, so you are going from smallest to biggest unit, so you are dividing by 10. Then, if you have a millimeter, so if you have centimeter and millimeter, so centimeter is bigger than millimeter. So if you're converting from centimeter to millimeter, which is meaning from bigger to smallest unit, then you are doing multiplication by 10. If you are going in opposite direction, so from millimeter to centimeter, so millimeter is smaller than centimeter, then you are dividing by 10. Also, you can write these numbers using scientific notation, which is meaning 1000 you can present like 10 on the power of 3 when you are doing multiplication. Then when you have 10, will be 10 on the power of 1, 10, 10 on the power of 1, 10, 10 on the power of 1. But regarding division, so when you need to divide, then it will be, for example, from meter to kilometer, scientific notation 10 on the minus 3, power minus 3. Why? Because you're dividing with 1000, which is meaning then this will be 0.001. So in this case you have minus. Then when you're going from decimeter to meter, it will be 10 on the power minus 1. Then from centimeter to decimeter, 10 on the power of minus 1. Then from millimeter to centimeter, 10 on the power of minus 1. Which is meaning, if you notice, only for kilometer you have 1000 and the rest of them they have 10 between each other. Here is really important to remember the order how they go. So from biggest to smallest one. So kilometer, meter, decimeter, centimeter, millimeter. So if you know the order, and if you know that between kilometer meter is 1000 and between the rest of them is just 10, it will be much easier for you to convert between different measuring units. Let's convert between length units. So what do we have? So task says 200 kilometers is how many meters? So let's do step by step. So you know that you have kilometers and you know that you need to convert it into meters. So you should know that between kilometer and meter, which one is bigger one. So definitely kilometer is bigger than meter. So you are going from biggest to smallest unit. So we had that, how many kilometers do we have? So we have 200 kilometers, that was in the task. And if we know that we're going from biggest to smallest unit, then we know that we need to do multiplication. This multiplication will be times 1000. Why 1000? Because 1 kilometer or kilo is meaning 1000. So when we are going from kilometer to meter, always will be times 1000. Then the next step, what we need to do, we need to actually multiply this 1000 with 200 that we get in the task. So the answer will be 200,000 meters. This is actually correct answer, but in scientific notation or basically in science, this will not be correct, which is meaning that you need to simplify this. How you can simplify this? So count how many zeros do you have. So how many spots you need to move. So from 2 to the right side. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 spots, which is meaning basically this will be 2, which comes from here, times 10 on the power 5. So these 5 we get counting how many places we move. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is basically will be most correct answer in science, or basically this is called scientific notation. Or second words, 200 kilometers is equal to times 10 on the power of 5 meters, or 200,000 meters. Let's try to do immediately to convert these length units using scientific notation. So let's take the same tasks. So 200 kilometers, how many meters? So if you know that you have 200 kilometers and which you need to convert into meters, so again, which one is bigger? Kilometer is bigger than meter. So we are going from biggest to smallest unit. So when we are going from biggest to smallest, we are doing multiplication. But this multiplication in this case between kilo and meter will be 1000, or using scientific notation it will be times 10 on the power of 3. The next step, this number we need to multiply with the number that we get in the task. So it will be 200 times 10 on the power of 3, which is meaning in the end this will be 200 times 10 on the power of 3. But is this actually scientific notation? Not really, because this still 200 is not properly written down, which is meaning when you get this 200 times 10 on the power of 3, the next step what you can do, simplify this number. So how you should simplify this 200 here. So again, we are moving on the right side from 2 on the right. How many places we move? So here is 2, so 1, 2. So we move 2 places, which is meaning then you put number 2 because you have it here, and you put 10 on the power. How much power will be here? So it's 2. Why 2? Because we move 2 places. 1, 2. Then we will have also from here 10 on the power of 3, this one. How we will do it? So equal 2 we are taking from here. So 2 goes here. Then this 10 on the power 2 times 10 on the power of 3. We already mentioned when you have multiplication between these 10 powers, then basically you need to add these numbers that you have on the top. So basically this will be meaning 2 plus 3 give us 5. And this will be final answer or final scientific notation, and then we are putting answer here. So 200 kilometers will be equal 2 times 10 on the power of 5 meters. I mention now how you can convert area units. Area units are, let's say, similar to length units, just the difference is that they are squared, so everything is doubled, let's say. So you need to be really careful of which measuring unit do you have and what you need to do. So let's start. Kilometer squared between meter squared, which one is bigger? So definitely kilometer is bigger than meter. So kilometer squared will be also bigger than meter squared. So when you're going from biggest to smallest unit, again you're doing multiplication. How much you will multiply this time? When we have kilometer to meter, kilo is meaning 1000, so it will be 1 times 1000. So in this case you have kilometer squared to meter squared, so it will be 1 million. Why 1 million? Because it's squared. So 1000 squared is giving you 1 million. So you need to have 6 zeros here. Or now it's really good to use scientific notation. So in this case, this will be 10 on the power of 6. Why 6? You have 6 zeros, or which is meaning from 1 to the right side, you are moving for 6 places. Then, In opposite direction, if you are going from meter squared to kilometer squared, so from smallest to biggest, you are dividing. With how much you are dividing? You are dividing with 1 million. Or scientific notation, it will be 10 on the power of minus 6. Then if you have decimeter squared, so if you are going from meter squared to decimeter squared, which is meaning again from biggest to smallest, you are doing multiplication. So with how much? With 100. If you notice, again is doubled or squared, because when we had with the length unit, between meter and decimeter you have times 10. So here when you have squared is times 100. And if you are going from decimeter squared to meter squared, which is meaning from smallest to biggest, you will do division, and how much? Divide by 100. Scientific notation, if you notice here, scientific notation is 10 on the power of 2, which is meaning 10 times 10 gives you 100. Here is minus 2 because when you are doing in opposite direction, so from smallest to biggest, you are dividing with 100, or basically this is times 10 on the power of minus 2. Then if you have centimeters squared, so if you are going from decimeter squared to centimeter squared, which is meaning decimeter is bigger than centimeter, then you are doing multiplication. Again, multiplication by 100. Again, length unit, it was 10. So squared is here 100, or scientific notation 10 on the power of 2. Then again, if you are going in opposite direction from smallest to biggest, so from centimeter squared to decimeter squared, you are dividing with 100, or scientific notation 10 on the power of minus 2. And if you have a millimeter squared, so if you are going from centimeter squared to millimeter squared, so from biggest to smallest, you are multiplying with 100, or scientific notation 10 on the power of 2. If you are going in opposite direction from smallest to biggest, you are dividing with how much? With 100, or scientific notation 10 on the power of minus 2. Again, here you need to be really careful, and what is here important, that you know how to order them from biggest to smallest, and that you have here squared, which is meaning if you know the numbers for length unit, this is just squared or doubled when you need to either multiply or divide. Let's do one task, how to convert area units. So for example, let's say that you have 200 kilometers squared and you need to convert them to meters squared. So step by step. First, you know that you have kilometers squared on this side and you need to convert it to meters squared. So the first step, what you need to define, which one is bigger. So kilometer is definitely bigger than meter squared. So you are going from biggest to smallest unit, which is meaning that you are doing multiplication. Now here we have number 200. So 200 kilometers squared, we need to convert into meters squared. So again, if we are going from biggest to smallest, we are doing multiplication. How much multiplication? 1 million. Because we said kilo is usually 1000, but squared is doubled or squared, so it's 1 million. So we need to do multiplication 200 with 1 million, which basically give us 200 millions meters squared. Again, this number is correct, but it's not scientific notation, it's really huge number. So how we can actually simplify this number? So let's see how many places you should move. So number 2 is here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 places. So you are putting the number that you have in front. So here is 2. So 2 times 10 on the power of 8 meters squared. So this 8 we get one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Basically, how many zeros do you have? The number goes here. So the final answer will be 2 times 10 on the power of 8 meters squared. Also, the same thing we can do, convert using actual scientific notation. So 200 kilometers squared, how many meters squared? Again, you have kilometers squared, which you need to convert into meters squared. Which one is bigger? So kilometer is bigger than meter, so kilometer squared also will be bigger than meter squared, which is meaning you are going from biggest to smallest unit, so we are doing multiplication. So here we have 200 kilometers squared. So this multiplication in scientific notation will be 10 on the power of 6, because basically this is 1 million that we had in the task before. So 200 times 10 on the power of 6 will give us 210 on the power of 6, which is meaning, again, this is not complete scientific notation because this number is bothering us. So we need to simplify this number and then times this number, and then actually we will get scientific notation. So how should we do that? So 200 we can do 2 times 10 on the power of 2. Why 10 on the power of 2? So because we have here, how many places do we need to move? 2. So this will be 2 times 10 on the power of 2, because we move 2 places here. Then it will be times 10 on the power of 6, which in the end give us 2 times 10 on the power. So we have here 2 and here 6. When it's multiplication between them, then you add them. So 2 plus 6 give us 8. So basically the answer will be 2 times 10 to the power of 8 meters